Hey everybody, it's the Zotman again with another audio commentary for RWBY. Now, I just recently heard the news, as well as every other RWBY fan, that RWBY Volume 3 will be premiering on October 24th, 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning for sponsors, which I'm assuming that means that for people who are not a sponsor, it'll be available for them for the very next day, after that, the 25th. But nevertheless, that means Volume 3 is coming really soon, so I'm probably going to be making some different decisions as far as this commentary goes. I might try to, maybe as quickly as I can, maybe start reviewing some of my favorite episodes from Volume 2, get some discussions going, for predictions and thoughts on what Volume 3 may be like for us. So, moving on into this episode, this is the fourth episode of RWBY Volume 1, and it is actually one of my favorite episodes in this volume. One of the reasons being is because we are introduced properly to all four members of Jaune's future team. And what better way to start getting introduced to that team than to start this episode with Ren and Nora, just absolutely my most beloved, two of my most favorite characters in this show. I absolutely love Lyren's really quiet, antisocial personality right next to Nora's very giddy, lovable, and social personality. They're definitely two big opposites. And now here we're actually given a scene with RWBY and Yang, and we're kind of given a little bit more perspective on RWBY and Yang's relationship. We see here that RWBY, she's really happy that she doesn't feel like she needs to be social with anyone anymore or meet new people. She would rather just get into, I guess, the system, that she's in this academy now, and use her weapon, which I think is pretty obvious to all of us that that's actually RWBY's most beloved thing in the world is her weapon, Crescent Rose. I like how she gets really nervous here, and she thinks that she believes rather than trying to get new people on her own team, she would rather just go with Yang. She feels safer around Yang, she feels more comfortable around Yang, and RWBY has to learn here that, being that she's growing older, that she's in this academy now, it's probably good for her to start meeting new people and kind of getting out there more instead of always under Yang's shade, if you will, kind of under Yang's own umbrella. And here we're introduced to one of my favorite characters in the show, and I know I already said that Ren and Nora were favorites of mine, but Pyrrha would probably go a little bit higher just because part of the reason is because we've gotten more attention. She's gotten more attention in this show so far. She has had more character development, and we've gotten to explore a lot more about her. And obviously, one of those biggest aspects is the relationship between Jaune and Pyrrha. And that is actually, Jaune and Pyrrha is absolutely, probably one of the best, if not the best, relationship dynamic to me in this series. Having seen 2 volumes with them already, it's just amazing to see how well that their relationship is developed here. And I love how, like, in Volume 2, Pyrrha points out that when Jaune first met her, he didn't even know her name, but he treated her just like he would have treated anyone else. I love how Jaune he just simply doesn't care about the fact that Pyrrha is just such a master at what she does. He's just interested in having her on his team. He just wants someone with him, and obviously knowing knowing that he's a ladies' man, he would just love to have a chance with her if he can. And I just absolutely love Pyrrha's compassion here in this moment, saying, I think you would make a great leader. It's just, Jaune has done absolutely nothing in this scene to really even hint at the idea that he could be a good leader, but Pyrrha sees the potential in him anyway. And I think that's very admirable. I think that's very humble of Pyrrha. Pyrrha is voiced by Jen Brown, who is aging Carolina in Red vs. Blue. Both of them have very similar appearances, and both of them are almost experts at what they do. But the stark difference between the two of them is that Pyrrha is very humble and wants to see other people who are on a much lower scale rise higher, and get better at their craft, while Carolina was much more concerned about trying to be better than everyone else, in particular Agent Texas. So here, I really like this scene here. I love Professor Ozpin's speech. I notice here in this scene that Blake is not on any of the platforms. I don't know if that was just a mistake that they had made during the animation process or if that was intentional somehow. But even if that was intentional, the reason for that was never really implied. So I'm a little bit confused about that. I think that's very interesting. I love Ozpin. Yeah, I love Ozpin's really dry humor here. I think he knows that what he is saying here is kind of throwing some characters like RWBY off, but he simply does not care. He will launch these people off off these platforms and into a forest to fight monsters, um, hoping that they will make it through alive, but there are no actual guarantees. And I love the fact that even though Jaune has a question to ask him, he's just like, yeah, no, whatever. We're gonna get this started. I also just love Glinda's stoic nature. I love how she just kind of stands next to Oz. It's one of the reasons why I think they're such a perfect couple, because they have this chemistry without even really needing to talk. Sometimes it just takes these facial expressions in between each other. They exchange expressions and they stand next to each other. It's almost like a brother sister or um, yeah, a brother sister or husband wife type of picture to me. That's kind of what it makes me think of. I love Miles Luna's acting as Jaune. I think I might have said that in episode 2. He plays the character perfectly, knows how to, play this very awkward dork. I love the different styles that the characters use when they launch into the air, their own different ways of landing, which we will see in the next episode. Yang winks at RWBY, then puts on these glasses, and that's kind of another part of the the falling style. And Osmond just drinks his coffee here, just completely without any regrets. He's just like, oh, this should be fun. So that's episode 4 for you guys. I am super excited for Volume 3, as I'm sure all you other guys are. October 24th, I will be there, so I will see you guys in the next commentary.